Welcome back, College Baseball Central fans. As you see, I'm joined by Micah again today. Micah, how we doing this morning, man?
I'm good. Apologize in advance to everybody watching / listening. You might have a little echo with me. I had to switch apartments out of nowhere. My apartment got flooded with not only just water, but sewer water. So
Oh,
literally shit happened for me to coming back from Austin on Wednesday. But we're able to set up a pretty cool backdrop now. I kind of switched around the podcast backdrop. I kind of like this look. So once we get some soundproofing in here, it'll actually be a nice little studio. But I'm good, man. Last night was a crazy night of baseball. It didn't want to end until 2 a.m. Central Time. So, I mean, I guess that's 11 o'clock for you out there, or 12 o'clock for you
12.
out there. But it was SEC after dark last night.
It was late and it was great. I mean, I love when we get baseball all day, right? So we had baseball basically all day on Friday. Those of you who watched the show last week know I was in Hawaii, so I came back, flew back this week, and getting more baseball all day long. It's great. I love it, man. I just think it's tremendous. So many big games out there, so much stuff coming down the stretch here as we're looking at these teams. A lot of bubble teams we're going to talk about, teams that are trying to fight their way into the tournament, trying to fight their way into hosting and national seeds. We're going to get you guys covered on that for the next till the end of June. We got you covered, but we want to make sure that we're telling you all the information we got. So we're going to start off with one that's an in-state rivalry, a big one here in NC State and UNC. UNC wins game one. Jake Knapp has been the best pitcher maybe in the ACC. He's at least the comeback pitcher of the year, right? He's the best player that's come back from injury. He's just cruising, man. He gives up the home run in the first to Hogue. You're like, okay, this is NC State going up there battling. 7 innings after that, just nothing. Great pitching there from Knapp. Game two, it was all tied up in the eighth. NC State scores 3 in the ninth to take that lead and win that game and tie the series up. Big win for NC State. Both these teams are in. They're both battling right now for national seeds / hosting. I think they're both in that conversation, Micah.
Yeah, I mean, NC State obviously probably not going to look at a national seed, but trying to get that just a good chance to play at home. And again, that's my favorite thing. Everyone talks about how important top 8 is, and I know top 8 is important, but we see weird things all the time where just because you're the 15 seed doesn't mean you're not going to host a super regional. It just means that you just need some help. But it's like 2 Omaha teams going head to head. I mean, this has been a back and forth series. Obviously, it's an in-state rivalry where both teams can't really stand each other. We were kind of wondering, North Carolina really hasn't been tested much in the last couple of weekends. So it's nice to see them obviously on Thursday night come out and do what they did. And then yesterday, NC State just had a response. I haven't looked at either team and gone, wow, they played particularly bad in either game. It was just one team had a little bit more than the other. And I mean, game 3 today at the Bosch is going to be electric. I think
they're playing tomorrow. So I think they have graduation today,
right?
At Chapel Hill. So they were like, we're not playing on Saturday.
Yeah,
so that's
quite a smart idea. Let's not deal with all the traffic and a rivalry game going on at the same time. That's ACC logic, man. We'd like to do some actual we actually work around school in the ACC. I know it's a crazy principle to those in the SEC, but we do that in the ACC.
School matters.
Student athletes still is a thing, but no, you're right. It is tomorrow, but it's going to be interesting. I think winner kind of locks up the hosts. That's kind of how I look at it. Whoever wins, I mean, I think UNC is probably safe even if they do lose, but I think if they win, they're sitting very comfortably in that top 8 now too. So obviously huge one tomorrow. And I know for my co-host, Nick, the NC State alum, I know he's going to be sweating a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's UNC. I think they're hosting no matter what. NC State gets that win. They're right there back in the conversation of winning the ACC regular season title, which puts them in that conversation of being that host again. But both these schools, I think they should get the opportunity to host. They've both been playing really well. I think if they do anything in the ACC tournament, if they get a win there, I think that we're seeing both these teams moving forward, no problem. BYU at Kansas. Kansas needed to step its game back up. They lost 4 straight conference games now after that first game. They lose 7-5 in the first one. Vaguely gets beat up a little bit by that BYU hitting, which was kind of unforeseen. I don't think a lot of people thought that was he's going to go out there and shove against BYU. BYU came out and hit him up a little bit. Game 2, the Kansas offense comes back, and Cooper Moore goes out there and throws 8 innings pitched against this BYU team, just the 1 run. Really a bounce-back game that Kansas needed. Kansas is kind of out of the conversation now for winning the Big 12 regular season title. They're right on the bubble there of being a chance at hosting. I think that they're out of the hosting conversation now, which is sad. We kind of wanted to see a series there, but Kansas is right there as far as being in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the more underrated races, and I know it kind of, it feels like a participation race, But the last spot in the Big 12 tournament race is so much fun right now. ACC, SEC, everybody gets in. The Big 12 is cutting 2 teams.
Yep.
So right now, like Utah is a game and a half back of BYU. UCF is a half game back on BYU, but UCF has the head-to-head with BYU. So like every one of these games matters for these guys. And I was talking to some of the Kansas staff when we were there last weekend, and like for example, Utah is in last place. Their Friday night guy is legit. We saw it last night. I can't remember if it's on the to-do list to talk about the Arizona game or not, but like he shoved. I mean, that was incredible stuff. And so that race is really, really tight. So, for BYU to take the game on Thursday was huge. And I mean, obviously it's a rubber match today. If they can get it done, if they go to Kansas and win that series, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't see that coming. I predicted a Kansas sweep. So BYU's already proven me wrong on that one. But I mean, this is that Big 12 race for that last spot in Arlington is going to be fun because, again, with it being a single elimination tournament, like that 12 seed, like I joked with the Kansas staff, I'm like, just don't fall to the 5. You do not want to be that 5 because you don't want that RPI loss to the 12 because pretty much every team in the Big 12 has a Friday night guy they feel comfortable with. And you don't want to see what happens in one game in a massive ballpark in a kind of quiet environment. Because let's be honest, it's not going to be a full Globe Life field for the 5-12 matchup on a Tuesday.
Nope, it will not. And it's a big set, right? So you want to stay top 4 if you're those Big 12 teams. You're trying to stay top 4.
And Kansas is sitting right at number 4 right now. So they need this one too. So
yes, it's a big game for Kansas. And then they finish up with West Virginia. So it doesn't get any easier necessarily for them staying in that top 4. So they got to really go out there and take care of business today against BYU. BYU's been scrappy all year. They've gone out there and won series on the road. They've beat teams at home. They've been a tough opponent, and they're always that Thursday through Saturday series. So it kind of throws teams off. But hats off to BYU winning that first game there at Kansas when people thought Kansas was really just going to bounce back and be right back in it. South Carolina and Auburn. Auburn offense, 24 on Thursday and then 11 and 11 last night. This Auburn offense is really, really good. Ike Irish finally has a couple teammates in Cooper McMurray and Lucas Steele who have stepped up and said, we're going to be a part of this offense. We're going to help you out. It was the Ike Irish show for so long this season where he was kind of hard carrying this offense. Cooper McMurray and Lucas Steele are stepping up lately. And I think this Auburn team is putting themselves in that conversation to be a national seed possibly.
Yeah, I think they should be a national seed. I have them as a national seed entering the weekend, kind of assuming that obviously they would sweep this weekend as well, but which obviously they did because that was my favorite fact. I don't know if you saw that, Mark. It was Auburn completed a series before Arkansas and LSU even threw a first pitch for their series. So you got to love SEC weather and just TV and all that good stuff. But no, I mean, and I think something that needs to be talked about is everyone just thinks South Carolina has quit. And I say quite the opposite. Like, that's the one thing I'll give Paul Maneri and his staff some credit on is you can see the Gamecocks are still fighting. They're clearly outmatched at this point, and they're it kind of. I mean, when things do go south, like again, they are snowballing. Like that's going to happen when your team is just struggling to find anything. But they are still fighting. I mean, every single game, I think, right? Except for I think they scored first even in game 1. So like
they scored first in every game.
Yeah. So like no matter what, they came out ready to roll. It's just. And then they were able to go punch for punch in game 2. I didn't get a chance to watch much of game 3, but it sounded like it was closer to game 2 than it was to game 1. Yeah. But I mean, you have to give Auburn some credit because we'll obviously talk about Missouri and Texas A&M. Like sometimes these teams that are struggling, like if they punch you back, you kind of get shocked and you don't know how to respond. And Auburn did a fantastic job of having a response every single time South Carolina threw a punch. So I honestly got to give a lot of credit to this Auburn team who, again, their SEC record's really the only thing on their resume that doesn't look great. It's gotten a lot better now with the sweep, but they were sitting at I think they had 13, 14 total losses on the year going into the weekend. So, now they're starting to look more like everyone else, but for a while there, their losses were more than anyone else being talked about for a national seed. But nice little sweep and a nice little time off too. Get a nice little chance to get rested before their last weekend series, and then obviously the SEC tournament to follow. So, I think Auburn's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, I think that they really don't even have to win next weekend, in my opinion. If they go get a game next weekend, I think they feel really good and comfortable about their chances moving forward. But a big series win and the sweep, nonetheless, there for Auburn and being done now. Like you said, they don't have to play again until Thursday. They're pumped. They get to get healthy, stay happy. This team hitting now. They're doing everything that they need to do to be that conversation. Another series in the SEC, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, another in-state rivalry here. Ole Miss wins the first one 10-4. Elliott goes out there, gets another win, another chance. I mean, he's going to be the SEC comeback player of the year, no doubt there. Missing 2 seasons coming back, he's been really, really good for the Rebs. Mississippi State goes out there and wins game 2, which they had to win. They really needed to go find a win in this doubleheader. They get game 2 4-1. Evan Ciardi, 8 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, Micah. Possibly saved the season for Mississippi State there.
Yeah, that game went quick. Game 2, I was expecting to be able to come home from work and watch the end of that, and obviously the Arkansas LSU game, and it wrapped up before we did at Lamar. So, no, that was awesome. You can't see the shirt because obviously it's neck up, but I am rocking the greetings from the dude shirt. Still the most beautiful ballpark in college baseball, but great to see the crowd that was out there. That was what was really cool. I mean, obviously they were playing at 3 or 4 o'clock on a Friday in game 1.
Yeah,
and that place was packed. I mean, I'm not saying that like other schools in the SEC don't do that, but obviously, Mark, I don't want to speak for where we go cover, but when an ACC school doesn't normally fill their stadium at 3 o'clock on a Friday. So it was really, really awesome to see that from the Mississippi State fan base. And I mean, the game 3 is going to be electric. It's a night game tonight, at least as of now. Obviously, I know weather keeps moving all these SEC games, but it's going to be electric to see because Mississippi State takes the series. I think you can almost not, you can't lock them in the tournament because they could go get swept next weekend and be right back where they were coming into this week. But you have to feel like they're off the bubble from the standard terms of the last 4 in kind of conversation. So really big for them. And obviously for Ole Miss, if they can get a weekend series win on the road, I mean, that keeps them in that potential host conversation.
Yeah, and it's a rivalry series, so it's always big anyway.
Even and you just want to have in-state rivalry.
They just want to go win this series anyway, and it's a big one for both these teams. I think it's bigger for Mississippi State, but we'll talk about that when we get into bubble talk at the end of the show here, because there's so many teams that are right there on that cusp. And that honestly, if Mississippi State lost game 2 yesterday, I would have probably written them off, and they would have been done for the season and in trouble. But that was a huge win for them, and amazing pitching performance there. The 15 Ks and the 8 innings, 15 strikeouts, just crazy. Duke and Clemson. Duke goes down there. They hung around in this one. It was back and forth. In the 6th, Clemson gets 6 in the 4th, and then they get 3 in the 8th, and that kind of just was the end of it there for Duke. But Duke just kept bouncing back on this one. Clemson finding ways to win. They're not necessarily playing super clean games. They're not playing the best baseball right now, but they are getting conference wins and continuing to do so.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson is the hardest team, in my opinion, in the country to put away. Like, I'm not even saying ACC. I mean, the way Eric Bakich and his teams play, like, they're always playing with a swagger and a confidence. It doesn't matter what the score is, they're going to keep fighting. They have issues. They legitimately, I had them in my Omaha 8, and people are like, how in the world do you have Clemson? It's like, I just believe they're going to find a way. Like, honestly, there's not winning. Hey, they have this that they're really like Aiden Canuck's not been the best. I mean, Lucas Malstat's really been the only consistent arm we've seen on a night in, night out basis when he gets on the mound. The lineup, like Cam Cannarella has a really good night and then a really bad night offensively. I mean, he's a stud out in center field, but this is a team that continues to find ways. Their bench is super deep. I mean, they can pull guys off the bench for pinch hit situations pretty much at every position possible. But this is a team that, again, they continue to find ways to win. So at some point, right, winning has to matter. So for me, I'll continue to believe in Clemson until they stop finding ways to win.
Yeah, they find ways to win. Like, they turn to different guys every single night, right? It's just like, hey, who's going to step up? Priest last night was big for them. It's like, and he's been big throughout the season, but then, like you said, him and Cannarella, all of a sudden they just disappear for a game. They're just not there offensively. And you look around at your teammates going, okay, we got to figure something out. But they keep finding ways to win. So it's hard to put them down and say, do they not deserve to be up there? I mean, but they keep winning games. So I like the way that this Clemson team can win in a lot of situations, and they do it a lot of different ways, and they just keep battling. So for me, I don't know if I have them as an Omaha 8 team at this point in my season, but they are right there just because they keep winning. Eric Bakich is a great coach. I mean, he just keeps getting the best out of his guys. Vanderbilt and Tennessee, the battle for the state there. Liam Doyle goes out there. Man, he is the Friday night ace. I mean, I just circle him, say he's the SEC pitcher of the year. The guy's been tremendous. 7 innings pitched, 12 Ks, just 3 hits. Johnston homers late in this one for Vandy in the 9th there and gives them a little bit of life. not enough to come all the way back. But this is a big series for both of these teams as they've both kind of been up and down throughout the season. Tennessee, as of late, has been struggling, but that's a big win there at home for Tennessee to go get that first one.
Yeah, Tennessee needed this so badly. I mean, if you
Yeah.
lose the Liam Doyle start at home, in-state rivalry, a Vandy team who, like you said, I've given up on what Vandy is because every time I pick against Vandy, they seem to find a way to win. Every time I pick them to win, they find a way to lose. So I'm just done. Like, I mean, I was when Brody Johnson homered last night, I'm like, I swear, if I did this again, or I picked Tennessee to win the series and Vandy wins this, I mean, it's obviously the series isn't over, but like if Tennessee loses game one late, and this is, I mean, that's what happened in the Tennessee LSU series. Was Tennessee looked like, all right, I was feeling really good about it, and the ninth inning happened. It's like, you got to be kidding me. But again, this is a really fun one to watch. I mean, this is definitely a host conversation weekend series to watch. I mean, if Tennessee loses the weekend, they might fall out of hosting. The RPI is there, but I mean, that's what their fourth SEC series loss now.
That'd be another series loss.
So, like, you can't. I mean, at some point, right? Like, I think the SEC is the best conference in college baseball this year, but at some point, like, you have to punish teams for losing. You can't just be like, oh, well, your RPI says you're 14, so we'll take you over Coastal Carolina or over UC Irvine. Like, at some point, you got to just say, hey, I know they played an easier schedule, but they didn't. You had your chance. You just chose you didn't win. So. That's going to be one to watch. And obviously, Vandy's kind of trying to fight for a top 8 because their RPI says they should be top 8. But obviously, eyeballs and national polls aren't necessarily saying they're in top 8. So it's going to be interesting just to kind of to track the rest of that one. But I think you're right. Liam Doyle just continues to prove that he is the best Friday night guy probably in college baseball. Do we?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say that he is that guy this year. He's just been really, really good. He gives Tennessee a chance to win every single Friday night. And on the flip side of that coin, J.D. Thompson, not bad. That was not a bad start for him. I mean, 3 singles are the RBIs there. It's not like he gave up some big hits. He was really competitive out there. Just a little bit better on Doyle for him, going out there and just not allowing those runs on his side. Mm-hmm. Speaking of runs, your hat right there, I believe, is that the Louisville Cardinal there?
It would be the Louisville Cardinals.
16-2 versus Georgia Tech. Let's just talk about maybe just the second inning here, or as we talk about, Rose hits a home run, Monroe hits a home run, King Jr. hits a home run. Moore has 2 RBI, 2-run singles in the same inning, 13 runs in the second, and it was just the floodgates opened up, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah. So, Mark, I'll share something I thought was funny. I go to check the Just Means Less ACC DMs this morning. I like occasionally, probably once a week, check them. And at the top, someone from the Louisville team, we won't say their name, sent me the "we took this personally" meme with our picks from this week. So they saw what we said with minus Grayson going all Georgia Tech. Obviously, it's just game 1, but they took out some frustration. This isn't the first time we've seen Louisville blow out somebody, though. And again, I'm not saying they don't win the series, but we've seen, again, Louisville blow out NC State, lost that series. So it'll be interesting to track, but I'm starting to get a little concerned about Georgia Tech, if I'm being honest. Like, this is, obviously the Virginia series, they were 1 inning away from getting swept in that one. So, I mean, we're not going to pretend like the Western Carolina series last week changes my stance on any confidence. Like, it's a little concerning. I mean, to see them struggle the way they are. I mean, again, you got to give Louisville credit. I mean, but 13-run inning in the second or third, whichever inning it was, like, that is. I mean, that's just not going to play. And again, it's Danny Hall weekend. Like, again, selfishly, that's why I picked Georgia Tech to win. I just want him to go out at his last weekend, at least in the regular season, as a winner. Like, I'm sorry, Louisville. I'm sorry to say that. If this was Dan McDonald's final hoorah, I'd be saying the same thing. This isn't a personal shot at you.
Yeah.
But, that was just pure domination from Louisville. And it was good to see what they got from their arms. Because, again, Louisville pitching has been tough. Like, today's going to be a big one with Patrick Forbes, obviously now in that game 2 role. He has struggled, but we know what he's capable of. He's one of the best pitchers in college baseball when he has his stuff. So if he comes out today and shuts down Georgia Tech and Louisville takes this series, let's start talking regional at Jim Patterson Stadium again, which would be awesome. One of the most underrated stadiums in college baseball. But B, what in the world's going on in Georgia Tech?
Yeah, and I look at this series and I go, I think a lot of us thought, okay, Georgia Tech bounces back there at home. Danny Hall's last weekend here at home for the series. They're going to bounce back. They're going to be the team that they have been most of the season. But the last 3 weeks have been really rough. I mean, to throw away the Western Carolina, I don't care about that series. I don't care about that weekend. The other three series have been rough for Georgia Tech, and they got to figure something out. I mean, it's been everything, right? They're not hitting the ball necessarily. They're not pitching well. They're not doing any of the things that they've done well for the most part of this season. I think that they're clearly in the tournament. I don't have any issues with them being in the tournament, but the problem is they were a team that we were talking about being a national seed there for a little while. Now they've fallen all the way out of hosting. Where do we put them? I mean, if they can't win this series this weekend, they're putting themselves in serious jeopardy of just even being there. And it's a conversation we're going to have to keep having, especially if they keep losing series. But hopefully they bounce back today. I know that a lot of us picked them, but I think that that's great that the Louisville players were like, "Hey, we see what you guys are saying. We go out there and we watch this stuff in our pick 'em." So hey,
did I ever tell you that quick 30-second story, Mark, of when I finally got to meet Zion Rose at Team USA this summer? So I went to go interview him just afterwards, just to I try to get every AC player.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm still really upset with you. And I'm like, oh, what? Like, I'm actually kind of scared. Like, what did I say? What dumb thing did I do? He goes, you believed in us all season long. And those last 2 weekends, not only didn't have us, hosting or something, you didn't even have us in the NCAA tournament. You just stopped fighting for us. I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Again, he was just poking at me, but It was just so funny because, again, I was all on them and they kind of started to dwindle away. And I turned my love to Georgia Tech because I thought I had more of a reason to fight for them than maybe Louisville at the time. And so it's just funny because they definitely pay attention. Shout out to – there's a couple of parents on the Louisville roster that, they're constantly messaging me just things that they see. And it's really cool because they know obviously I can't go see them as much this year. And it was great because I got to kick off the season with them. I saw them in Arlington to start. So I was kind of able to explain hey, you probably won't see me again this year unless it's postseason because
this is the one
I live in Texas now. So the trip to Louisville, Kentucky is probably not going to be in the budget.
I love it, man. I love that people are engaged with our content and paying attention and love what we're doing. I mean, you see it from all across the country. I know all of us get to go out to games, and when we get there, the fans really care, parents really care, the players really care. I love it, and it's great. I mean, I'm good for Louisville going out there and just crushing yesterday too. So hats off to them. That offense was lights out. As we mentioned, the latest game yesterday happened to be Arkansas LSU due to rain. Cozell Kuhioloi hit home runs there for Arkansas. This game was 4-4 going into extra innings there. Frey hit a home run also for LSU. And then he has the sac fly in the 10th to win it. Anderson left the game with what they're calling a wrist cramp. Any concern there? I know that it's always a concern for me when I see a pitcher leave a game. But Jay Johnson didn't seem to think it was a big deal.
I've always said just trust what the coaches say. I've never wanted to be the guy that wants to deep dive whether or not, not that they're lying, right? But that they're sugarcoating anything. If he thinks he's fine, I'll say he's fine until otherwise. I like college baseball for the sport, not for the nitty gritty of who's hurt, who's not.
Me too. I'm with you.
Maybe call me the vibes guy. I don't know. But, that said, I mean, obviously a little bit concerning regardless. I mean, you just never want to see that because could that happen again? Could he cramp up in the SEC tournament in a one-run game or in a postseason game, sends him to Omaha kind of situation. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, but good luck winning at Alex Box Stadium. Genuinely, just good luck. I mean, I don't know why I picked Arkansas. I know why I did. I think they're the best team in college baseball when they're clicking, but
when they're on, they are.
Right. And they didn't play bad yesterday. That's the crazy part. But good luck going to Alex Box Stadium and winning a game, which, by the way, shout out to that fan base. I mean, when you enter their stadium, they have the best fans in college baseball. And you see that everywhere. I mean, heck, Wichita State had that when you walk inside their ballpark. But, I think they actually are right on that one.
Yeah.
It's 12 o'clock at night. It sounds like it's 7 o'clock at night on a Saturday, not 12 o'clock on a Friday after a full work day, after 3 hours of a rain delay. That fan base stayed, showed out, was invested in every pitch. I mean, Zach Cowan, I'm glad he's not in the SoCon anymore, tearing up SoCon guys. Goodness gracious, that guy is so good. And I feel bad because Gackle was fantastic too for Arkansas.
He threw well.
Nobody deserved to lose that game. Genuinely, that was just a beautiful bit. Normally I hate staying up till 1 a.m. to watch a game when I'm tired. I was invested every single pitch. I couldn't turn it off. I was yeah, I'm tired. I can't turn this off. This is so good. I mean, as long as Arkansas doesn't get swept, I think there should be nothing negative to be said about Arkansas this weekend. This just shows you that Arkansas, LSU have legitimate cases for number one in the country. And You play this at Baum Walker, it's probably similar result, but maybe in Arkansas's favor. Like these are just two really good baseball teams. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of purple and gold and a lot of, I guess, is it crimson? Do they go by crimson in Arkansas? Whatever Arkansas's official
Whatever
red
Arkansas's color is, I don't know what that is.
Whatever their official color is. I'm sorry, Hogs fans, I don't know that exact answer, but you'll see a lot of Arkansas fans too. We'll be calling the Hogs in Omaha, I think.
Here's the thing. This really did feel like we could have been watching this game in Omaha. This could have been an Omaha-like game for us. I've had both of these teams at number one at some point in this season. In my rankings, they've both been number one at some point. And there's a reason why I have LSU Stadium here as our background today, because it is just special. You know, they stay through rain delays. They show up. They be there for their team no matter what's going on. Tremendous effort there. Big win in extra innings. We'll see what happens today. I know there's still some rain coming through there and some big weather. We're going to have to see what happens, but I think it's a big one here. Canes, Cats, Heats. Yes, Miami is ready to win now. Guess what? They did not last night. I did pick them in our pick 'em, though. I did pick Miami. They lost 1-6 last night. Virginia scores 3 in the first, and then they just kind of cruised, and it was like a really good Woolfolk start for them. That he has been up and down this season. The home run in the 8th by Didowick really just added on, and too much, and they stopped these hot Hurricanes who've been playing really good ball in ACC.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot to be proud of with that Virginia performance, right? I've never hit it. I'm a Virginia fan, right? Like it was great to see, Jay Woolfolk. I mean, I picked him as my X factor. Did not expect the type of outing that he put together last night. He was incredible. The bullpen, for Virginia looked like what they're capable of. I mean, the fact that they held Miami to 1 run is so surprising. But at the end of the day, I will take everything. The fact that Virginia had success against Griffin Hughes, like he's been so good, and Griffin wasn't bad. I mean, it was just Virginia just putting quality at bats together. I mean, again, this felt like Miami's a postseason team at this point, minus some epic collapse. It kind of felt like Virginia again. Virginia's playing with their backs against the wall. They know, like. The nice thing about Virginia is 15 wins gets them into the NCAA tournament, I think, in ACC play. I genuinely, especially because you lost those 3 games against Florida State, I think the committee will assume they would have won 1. So if they're 15-12, which right now they're sitting at 12-10, like they just got to go 3-2 down the stretch, and that's with Miami again at home and Virginia Tech next weekend in Blacksburg. So Virginia's playing desperate. They're a team that again, this was the preseason number 2 team in the country for a reason. I mean, Jay Woolfolk, when he's on, is one of the best pitchers, like from a stuff standpoint in the sport. He has a tendency of sometimes struggling with his control, but when he has it, we saw it last night. He is very, very good. He was a quarterback, so he plays with a lot of chip on his shoulder, kind of like we saw with Jonah Williams from Texas, that football swagger, as I call it. But incredible stuff, honestly, for Virginia and for Miami. I mean, this doesn't change anything for me. Like, oh no, they lost a game, a competitive game against a top 25 caliber team. Oh no, shucks.
Yeah, on the road.
So they are 0-1 since JD Ortega dyed his hair blonde. So I don't know if that's something we need to follow here, but I don't know if you saw that, but he has blonde hair now. So I'm not saying that like that might be the reason, but if Miami gets swept this weekend, we might have to have a conversation about it.
It might have to go back. Listen, I have no worries about this Miami team. I have them in. There we go right there from Canes Cats here. 0-1 since Danny Boy Kane came back. Listen, I have no worries about this Miami team. I think that what they've done lately just puts them in the tournament. They're fine. Virginia is playing like a team that needs to get these wins, and they do. They need to get these wins here. But I have no worries about Miami. I still picked them to win this weekend. They could go out there and win the next 2 games. The offense wasn't there for Miami. I think that they'll be fine. But a big win there for Virginia at home. They had to go out there and take care of business here and get one. And they need the series, really. They probably need the next series as well to really cement themselves in. But I think that they're a team that we're going to talk about as a bubble team again, Michael. We have a full segment all for this, and I cannot wait to talk about all these teams. Georgia and Alabama. Georgia puts up 19. Plenty of offense in that first game there. 6 home runs to blast past Alabama there. Alabama is up 6-2 in the second game while we're in weather delay, and that should resume today. Alabama needs a win. They don't necessarily need this series, but taking a win at home at least is what they need to do to further themselves. They're in the tournament, but they've been struggling lately, Micah.
Yeah, and again, like they're still arguing for a host. I mean, they have the RPI to make the justification. Their SEC record is good enough too. I mean, that's when I do those SEC tournament things, it's always amazing that like they're tied for that 4th and 5th spot. Like the 5th spot. Like they're right there. I mean,
Yeah.
So to get a series win against Georgia would obviously be massive for that conversation. So something to definitely keep an eye on. But yeah.
Yeah. Then I mean, just getting a win at least, I think. So them being up 6-2 today, if they're going to play the other game today as well, so they're going to finish out the series today. They're not going to play on Sunday. They're trying to finish them all out, depending on all the weather. We'll see what happens here during the stretch here. But 6-2, they're leading right now. We'll see. We'll catch up on that one here later when they actually get that one going.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to hop off for like 30 seconds. Like my new apartment, I think someone's knocking at my door. So
you're good. Go take care of it, buddy.
Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
You're good. I'm going to talk about this next game here, which is West Virginia and Kansas State. West Virginia is up 7-2 as we go to the 9th. And you're like, okay, this is a West Virginia team that's taking care of business. Their bullpen's been really good all season. They've gone out there and they've won these games that they have to win. It's usually a big thing that they've been able to do. They've gone out there and just taken care of business. O'Connor comes up, hits a home run there to start off the 9th. Kansas State fans, they're getting into it, right? It's a home game for them. Let's go. Let's see what happens. All of a sudden, bats around, comes all the way back up, bases loaded. Your man O'Connor comes back up, gets the single to walk this one off. It's just crazy going out there and getting this one. All 6 runs in the 9th were earned. West Virginia's bullpen gives up more runs than they have in the last few weeks. This West Virginia team has been hot and cold as of late. This was a tough loss for any chances of seeding and hosting. I think West Virginia has maybe played their way out of that. They'd have to really win the next 5 games, which is 2 more against Kansas State, 3 against Kansas at home, and then go and do something in the Big 12 tournament as well. But, West Virginia is the number 1 team in the Big 12 technically by their standings and everything else. But this was a tough loss to be up 7-2 and get walked off with 6 runs there in the 9th. Micah, I was just talking about the West Virginia and Kansas State, and, O'Connor hits that home run in the 9th and then gets the walk-off bases loaded single. Tough loss for West Virginia, tough for their hosting chances too.
Yeah, I don't know what was crazier, that comeback or the fact that a little kid just walked into my apartment from the building downstairs, or from the apartment downstairs. So I've been leaving my door unlocked because I'm doing a lot of moving. So that was I heard noises and I saw a little kid and I was like, either I'm hallucinating because I'm out of sleep, or there's actually a little kid in my apartment. Thankfully, the mom was right there. She was super chill. I'm like, I promise I did not bring this kid in here. She's like, no, he's starting to turn door handles, and he actually closed himself in here. So that's the problem, was he kind of locked himself in my apartment. So that's why I kept hearing a knocking noise. So anyways, that was crazy. So was Kansas State's walk-off, though. I mean, I turned it off because I had the game on my laptop in the press box at Lamar, 7-2 again, as someone that's not, spoiler alert, I'm planning to probably be at the Big 12 tournament. So I'm really kind of getting a little bit more intrigued on what I'm going to see going into that tournament.
Yeah.
And looking at it, I was like, okay, not a shot at Kansas State, but this game's over. West Virginia is going to hold this down.
And their bullpen's been that way, right?
Yeah, their bullpen's been good. Again, it was 5 runs. If it was 1 or 2, I'm not counting out Kansas State, but it kind of felt like 7-2 was kind of insurmountable. Cardiac cats happen, though. And I mean, Kansas State, huge win. I mean, that's huge because they were on that. They were my last 4 in, and they're probably still sitting there. But if they take this series at West Virginia, they have an argument to say we shouldn't even be in that conversation. We should just be in. So big one for Kansas State, and they kind of did this last year if I remember correctly. They got kind of hot down the stretch, and then they were they got to the Super Regionals against Virginia. So watch out for Kansas State, and for West Virginia. You can't do this if you want to host. You haven't been good enough in the midweeks to justify this, and your RPI is just not going to do you any favors. You gotta find a way. And isn't this back-to-back walk-off losses for them as well? Because they got walked off against Pitt in the midweek. I don't know if you mentioned that or not in your things. Hopefully, I'm not stealing that from you or repeating something. But I mean, that's back-to-back walk-offs is not the way you really want to go.
Not when
against 2 teams fighting for bubble spots, by the way.
Yeah. That's the thing here. We're talking about teams that West Virginia's been so good in the bullpen. They've been able to come out there and dominate games with that. It hasn't necessarily been starting pitching's been terrific for them. They've found ways to win. It feels like the last few weeks they've found ways to lose, and that's not what you want to see if you're trying to get a hosting spot down the stretch here. Talk about finding ways to lose, Micah. Mizzou gets off the schneid. They find their first win of the season. They beat A&M 9-6. This game was 3-6 going into the ninth, and I'm like, okay, at A&M, they're going to hold on, no problem here. 6 runs in the ninth, all 6 runs for A&M. They got on home runs early in the game. They were done scoring by the third inning. In the ninth inning, bases loaded single there for Lovich. He hits an infield single, really good battle there. You're like, okay, he got on base, no big deal. Then a double ties it from Pierre. And then an error allows 2 runs, and a wild pitch allows the third run to give them the lead there and the win. And you're looking at this going, okay, Mizzou gets its first win. Awesome for Mizzou. Carrick Jackson, go out there, go get the win. We're happy for that. Tough time for a loss for A&M there.
I've been an A&M defender all year. I don't understand what it is with this team when there's actual pressure, but they just, I hate to say it, but it feels like they fold. Like whenever they're playing loose, they take the LSU series. Not many people expected that. They go into Knoxville, especially after that way that game 1 went, and they dominate the doubleheader. They, obviously go take the series at Arkansas. Like, it's impressive. And then they do think, like, again, against South Carolina and that walk-off at home, like, everyone counted them out. The game was basically over. And then they have, a 10-run, 9-run, whatever it was, back to grand slams, multiple grand slams in 1 inning to win it.
Yeah.
Like, whenever they kind of are pressing, they just kind of, like, because there was pressure around this series because everyone's just like, this is a A&M sweep. I'll be the first to admit, and I call it the Missouri principle. I was like, I don't like, because people are like, Michael, why are you giving all this pressure on A&M? It's like, it's not A&M. It's whoever's playing Missouri. I just put the little green or blue, whatever color we use on our pick'em graphic for whoever they're playing. Like, that's just how it's been all year. Yeah. And again, like you said, the base hit was a battle. The walk was a battle, but then you have the hit by pitch. Like, it just started to snowball. And Weston Moss has been probably their most reliable arm all year, that or Luke Jackson. And that's just kind of the reality there is, Missouri, they were due at some point, but this is not the way when you want to lose. And I'm going to be honest, Mark, I'm scared A&M's going to lose this series now. Like, I don't know how they're going to respond. I'm not saying they're not capable. I want to make that very clear. I've said it, I still have them in my Omaha 8. Like, I think that this team, if they figure it out talent-wise, is just too good not to get there. But sometimes talent can't win you baseball games. And Jake obviously was there. By the way, maybe A&M should just ban Jake from baseball games at A&M.
Maybe Jake's the problem. Let's
or maybe Missouri needs to put Jake on their bus and just have him go to every Missouri game the rest of the year.
Just gonna hang out with Carrick all day.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm undefeated with Alabama. He's undefeated with Missouri. Maybe that's what it takes. Is just he goes rides the bus with Missouri. I go ride the bus with Alabama. But
it's a bad loss. There's no way to say anything else. It's a bad loss.
I tweet there's going to be 14 SEC teams in the NCAA tournament, isn't there? And then, like, within 20 minutes of that, A&M just starts spiraling. And it's like, again, I still think they're in. If they win this series, I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, losing one game, it's not good, but it's not the end of the world. But you're going to have to respond if you're A&M, and that's the problem with A&M. I mean this in the most respectful way possible. Whenever there's been pressure, they haven't responded very well. And now we're talking about pressure that's going to be over the next 5 games, Micah, because they really need to
win this series. And then they're going to play Georgia, who's the number 1 in RPI. They got to go take care of those games.
They got to go 4-1 to feel locked. And then, 3 might get there if you win the series in Athens. But
then you'd have the series loss here against Mizzou. And you'd be like, man, that's another. They've had such good wins this year and such bad losses. And they're starting to pile up both directions. We saw this a little bit last year with Florida, though, right? But Florida got hot late, and that was kind of what they're doing right now is the Gators, which we're going to talk about next. But, man, A&M, that it just was really shocking, honestly.
To do it at home. And that's the thing is, like, I think if it's 7-6 going into the 9th inning, I think like going to the bottom of the ninth, excuse me. I think A&M wins it. I really do. This offense has been good enough, and like here's the problem, Mark. And this is I have a friend. I'll shout her out, Delaney. We talk A&M baseball all the time, and I like to we do a lot of deep dive stuff. Missouri's ERA is 3 runs worse than any other team in the SEC, and the bullpen numbers are even more atrocious.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem here. Like, after the 3rd inning, A&M recorded 1 hit.
I know.
1 hit. I mean, like the bullpen didn't do them any favors in the 9th inning, obviously. But with the way Missouri's been pitching, you shouldn't even have to worry about a 3-run inning or even a 6-run inning being a disaster. Like, you should be able to pump 9 or 10 against this Missouri team, especially the way this lineup at A&M is built and has kind of been hitting as of late. So
Missouri's bullpen is flirting with double-digit ERA.
Yeah,
I mean,
their entire team ERA is floating with it. I mean, it's
just
rough.
Yeah, it scares me if I'm A&M fans for the rest of the season. But they really, I mean, and they could do something crazy like win the SEC tournament. That is a possibility with this A&M team. That's the talent that they do possess on this team. I'm not counting them
out. They come in and run Rule Missouri today, and then we're kind of just like, yeah, okay, let's just pretend like it's never happened. But
yeah, and like I said, it's one game. Let's not throw it all under there, but it just feels like it's been one game of a mountain for this team.
Does this feel like a worse loss than the Tennessee no-hit run rule loss in Knoxville? Because I think it does, and that's where I'm intrigued.
This is a worse loss.
Like this doesn't feel like. I mean, I know the term rock bottom gets used way too loosely, but like this almost felt more rock bottom than the Tennessee no-hit. Like that was at the time the number 1 team in the country in Knoxville. Like this happened in your home ballpark against a team who quite literally has just been cursed this season. So,
and at that point in the season, A&M was struggling, right? So we weren't like, oh, okay, this team's been playing good. This A&M team has been playing good enough to win ball games, and then this one was just a complete shock, I think. Yeah. Use code CBC on Chinook Seeder. You get 10% off your entire order. I know both Micah and I crush seeds at every ballpark we go to. We take them out. We give them to the fans. We give them to the press boxes. We give them out to people. Their sunflower seeds are literally the best in the business, and I know it says it on the bag. They're the best. They're gigantic seeds. They have great flavoring. Mike and I have discussed this about how we mix different bags up. I know that I'm going to do some when I do some yard work later today, but man, Chinook Seedery, guys, if you guys have not gone there, go check it out. They got 8 tremendous flavors. I've been trying to mix in a little cinnamon toast with some flavors and mix it with. Cinnamon toast and original, not bad. The salty and the sweet, and it gives me a little bit of like kettle corn flavor.
Yeah, again, I tweeted it yesterday. The cinnamon toast and barbecue combo, like it's like that sweet barbecue. I love it. Like I think it's, and like I got to shout out Chinook because obviously I did the 999 challenge 2 nights ago, and the amount of sodium I consumed is unhealthy. Like honestly, I probably go see a doctor. But yesterday I didn't want to really eat anything, but I needed something. Yeah. And that's the one thing that's great about Chinook is like from a seed standpoint, it's very low in sodium. Like you can actually have a bag of Chinook seeds and not send your sodium levels through the roof. So that was kind of my meal yesterday was my cinnamon toast and barbecue concoction. And like, because of the flooding in my apartment, I had boxes I had to try to salvage. Granted, they didn't get flooded, thank God, but I had to get them out. And instead of bringing them into my new apartment, I just took them to the clubhouse over at Lamar. So I put 3 boxes in the clubhouse, Mark, and within 5 minutes, I go back like just to go grab myself a bag and they're gone. I'm like, I forgot what happens when you give college students free things. But yeah, I mean, shout out to Chinook. Again, I can't wait to. Honestly, I might switch it up today, Mark. We might go jalapeno ranch and parm pepper. One of our bullpen guys told me that's a really good cross combo. So I'm going to try that, I think, today during our game at Lamar.
Yeah, I'm a big parm pepper guy for fishing, and I've started throwing in the jalapeno, and it's a good mix. I mean, honestly, go out there, guys, try out your own combos. Let us know what your combos are. We'll try them. Mike and I both have go out there and try all those sunflower seed combinations.
I did 9 hot dogs, 9 root beers, and 9 innings, guys. I'm down to try anything. Let me know.
Into that Florida game versus Texas, who's number 1 in the SEC right now. Florida needs wins, and they go out and find another one, 8-2 there. They get 6 in the first inning. Pierce Coppola, good to see him back in Gators, pitching there, looking good there. 2 innings pitched, no hits, 3 strikeouts. 4 straight losses in SEC play now for the Longhorns. Are we worried that SEC play is becoming too much for Texas? I mean, I know that they have been on some kind of hot streak before that, but 4 straight, that's not a good time to have a 4 streak skid here.
I mean, I'm going to be taking way too much into this, but obviously I was there on Tuesday in Austin for our midweek with Lamar. I don't know if you saw the box score, Mark. Going into the 8th inning, it was a 4-3, bottom of the 8th. It was a 4-3 lead for the Texas Longhorns. Us at Lamar offered not 1, not 5, not 10, not 15, but 18 free passes. And Texas was only up 1. This is not a slander to anyone at Lamar or anything like that, but the number 1 team in the country an SEC team, should have more than a 1-run lead when given 18. Like, they stranded the bases loaded. We stranded, I think, 4 times for them.
Yeah.
And heck, Lamar had the bases loaded 3 times and didn't score. I mean, Texas just kind of feels, not lost is the right word, but just, they were clicking for so long that I think this is the first time they faced adversity with who they're going to go to out of the bullpen, or, not everyone in their lineup is hitting as well as they were. I mean, obviously in the midweek, Texas got it going late on us against Lamar, but it kind of came with, that was kind of my first eye opener. I was also there on Friday in the Arkansas series. Arkansas jumped on them early, and it kind of felt like, Texas has been so scripted. They've been able to stick to their plan. If you get them off their plan, that's when, Ruger Rios has not been good his last 2 outings, and that's really thrown a wrinkle into the rest of the weekend. I mean, they basically burned Max Grubbs yesterday. So now what is Texas going to do? I mean, that said, Florida's probably going back to Omaha, aren't they? We're going to see the Gators there, aren't we, Mark? I mean, at this point, death taxes and Florida getting hot at the end of the season and going on a magical run to get to Omaha.
I have my hand already out, ready to shake Sully's hand and just be like, "Hey, good to see you again."
Hey, did you finally get that condo across the street yet? Or I mean,
he's actually rented an apartment right next to mine for the week, so we're fine.
Yeah, what he does with this program, I mean, it's incredible. It's so calm. All of us talking heads are like, "What is wrong with Florida? They're going to miss the NCAA tournament." And I think I wonder if he just sits in his office, drinks his coffee in the morning and says, yes, I love this morning show. I
sat there and I said, no SEC team has ever made the tournament after starting 1-11. That's what Florida did.
Yeah.
and
here we go.
I have them in. I mean, I know that we're going to talk about it later. I have them in. I have them being a team in, especially this one here really puts them in that spot where you say, this Florida team's getting better. Now, we know that they had tons of injuries on the weekend rotation. Texas is kind of facing those injuries right now where they got a little bit of the injury bug. They're missing some guys in the lineup. They're missing some pitchers. It's really kind of affected the way that they've been able to attack baseball games. And the run differential here is what scares me for Texas. They have not been able to score runs at the pace that they were earlier in the season and at big points in the season. Florida is getting healthy at the right time. Florida is becoming a team that's getting hot at the right time. And I think that they are a team that can make that run because of the talent that they've had all season. They just haven't clicked, and now they are starting to click. And now that pitching rotation, like I said, you get Coppola back, Liam Peterson back. I mean, my goodness, you're getting some wealth of arms. If they can get healthy at the right time and make a run here, I think that this says more about Florida than it does about Texas for me.
Yeah, and there's not many better coaches in the sport from a matchup standpoint, from knowing his roster, quite like what Sullivan does. So, if you're telling me it's a 1-run ball game and maybe they're a little bit outmatched from a athlete standpoint, which Florida's not normally outmatched by many, but if they are, Sullivan's still going to find a way to get it done. So, this Florida team, I mean, it makes me sick as someone that just, has plenty of bookmarks that Florida fans can pull on him in a couple weeks, but. I'm a bigger man. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. And this, you said, I think Florida. I mean, he can't lock them yet, but I mean, the SEC is getting 13 teams for sure. And I think obviously you rule out South Carolina, you rule out Missouri. I would say A&M and Mississippi State have less of an argument than Florida do. So that means you're sitting there now at the 11 of the 13. So I think they're sitting pretty good.
They're a 3 seed you don't want to see coming, or a 2 seed you don't want to see come into your place right now, honestly. If you're looking out there and you're like a host and you're saying, oh, great, I get Florida. That's not what you want. And you nailed it. So, I mean, he's he's okay losing games early in the season if he can find something out about his guys that he's going to use later in the season. That's just the kind of coach he is, and he finds guys and he puts them in the right situations. And by the end of the season, this team gets rolling in a way where these guys know their role, they know what's expected of them, and it's crazy. So big there win for them. UCLA at Illinois. Illinois comes back, takes this lead. Bruins were up 6-2. A 7 spot for Illinois in the 5th, made it 9-6. Illinois starts to fall apart. 2-run error there in the 8th. A ground out in the 9th makes a tie, and then Brennan steals home to take the lead for UCLA. Like two outs there, 3-1 count, and he steals home. Crazy win for UCLA. They really needed this to stay in the conversation of winning the Big Ten regular season title and hosting. I mean, you're talking about a team that's in the top. I think they're 14 right now on the live RPI, Micah.
Yeah, I mean, once again, just incredible stuff from them.
They don't have a field, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They don't have a field, so they may not even get a bid, or they may not even
hear me out. Dodger Stadium regional.
I know. Chavez Ravine would be freaking awesome for a regional.
College baseball gods, if you are listening, I don't want UCLA to host because I still can't get over the fact they lost a game to Texas A&M Corpus Christi, who went winless against the NAIA. But if that means that we get a regional in Dodger Stadium, I will be okay with it. No, I mean, UCLA, again, kind of similar to Clemson, is a very scrappy team. You have to give them credit. I'll be honest, Mark, I've watched them 3 times and haven't been overly impressed. I'm sitting there what makes this team a top 15 RPI? What makes this team a top 25 team? Well, they're winning games. And that's really, honestly, that's the one thing that I keep seeing that has been impressive. I mean, Illinois is not an easy out. Obviously it's the Big Ten. Everyone likes to crap on the Big Ten, including myself. But Illinois is one of those teams that, if you throw them in the ACC or the SEC, they're not the worst team in that conference. They're a scrappy group. And again, you're playing them. And again, I guess the one thing I feel for these out West schools, the Oregons, the USCs, the UCLA, is the Big Ten has got to be the biggest geographical change. California coming over to North Carolina is a big deal, but it's not. I don't think it's as big of a difference as going in the middle of nowhere, Champaign, Illinois. Yeah. You're when you're UCLA, you're going from the bright lights of LA to Champaign, where the only thing it has is truck stops and a college campus. I mean, that's just reality. Yeah. So, it's a completely different environment. So, you got to give them credit for finding a way to win.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, they get wins. And I've seen them live a couple times. And they took the Oregon game that I was at, and they hit. And if they can get enough pitching, they're in their games. I mean, Rock Cholowski, that's a guy that's up for the Golden Spikes Award because he's such a good player for them. But they have a lot of good guys. I mean, Salgado, also another good dude. They can hit. They can stay in baseball games. It's just going to be interesting to see what the committee decides with them, or even if they put in a bid to host. I mean, they'd have to figure out what to do because they lose the stadium. They don't get a stadium anymore after the end of the season. And this was just a bubble to give them the stadium for the rest of the season. They're in a big contract dispute for the folks that don't know about Jackie Robinson Stadium. So Cincinnati at TCU. What a weird game that we haven't seen necessarily from a TCU team, putting up the 17 runs, winning that game 17-11, back and forth all the day, and then the 7th spot for TCU in the 8th inning just proved to be enough in this one. Noah Franco goes 3 for 6 for 5 RBIs. Cole Kramer goes 3 for 5 for 4 RBIs. TCU is number 15 in the RPI. They're now only 2 games back in the Big 12 to win the regular season title. They've climbed all the way back up to 3rd place. They're actually tied for 2nd place. Man, I'm having a hard time arguing against this TCU team. They just keep going out there and finding ways to win down the stretch here.
I'm so upset with myself, Mark, and I'm probably going to get myself in trouble if anyone from Baylor is watching because they're going to be really great to me on Sunday. I completely missed that TCU was hosting Cincinnati this weekend. And just TCU is the same distance as Baylor is for me in Beaumont. And I'm really kicking myself that I'm not going to be there on Sunday at Lupton. If Cincinnati gets in, which I think they deserve to be in, I don't even think they should be a last 4. I really think that team is that talented. They are going to piss off whatever regional host they have, because what's going to happen is if you're the 2 seed playing Cincinnati, you're going to be up 3-0, and then Cincinnati's going to pump you for 9. But the thing is, Cincinnati's going to give up more runs. It's
Then
not
they're
like
gonna give you a
it's
break.
over.
Yeah.
But you, as a fan, you're going to go, holy crap, it's over. We're down 9-3. Then you're going to get up 12-10. And then they're going to do it again. And then they're going to go right back to it. Like, I mean, that game yesterday, like, I was like, wow, Cincinnati's going to win this game. Oh, and up there goes TCU. Oh my gosh, Cincinnati's got this. Oh, and then TCU pumps 7. It's like, well, does I was at the Kansas Cincinnati game last week, where Kansas literally hit a grand slam with 2 outs in the 9th to tie it. And it's just like, that was the 5th or 6th lead change we had in the last 3 innings. Like, it was just back each inning. Who wants to take the lead or who wants to tie it? Like, it was insane what that team is capable of. But again, kudos to TCU. I mean, TCU, I think, is going to win the tournament in the in Arlington at this point. Like, I really like the way they're set up, and again, they're pretty much a lock at this point to get that bye and that be in that single elimination format. They're going to have the most fans, obviously, in Arlington. Maybe if Oklahoma State fans decide to travel, it could be a competition. But I don't know where that fan base is feeling right now. They're so wishy-washy, but. Not the fan base, I mean the team. Like,
The team. Yeah.
But Oklahoma State fans, you rock. But
great.
But I mean, yeah, this is big. Like, anyone watching this, if you're an SEC, ACC, Big 10, anything that's not Big 12, I'm telling you, watch the Big 12. It doesn't make any sense. It's not necessarily the greatest baseball. Like, if you want to see guys pitching in the big leagues next year or hitters in the big leagues, you might not see that. But if you want to watch fun, chaotic college baseball, watch the Big 12, man. It is so much fun. Arizona State Houston last night was electric, Mark. I don't know if you watched some of that. I threw that on because it was one of the later games still going on. And like all of a sudden, Arizona State jumps out to a lead. I'm like, okay, this game's over. And then Houston comes storming back and they win a game in Tempe, a Houston team that kind of has an argument to still be alive, for a postseason bid. Like, just so much fun in the Big 12. I mean, again, we got the worst team in the Big 12 taking down what was second place going into the day, Arizona yesterday, and Utah doing that. Like, anybody can beat anybody on any given night in the Big 12. I mean, it kind of can be said in the SEC and the ACC, but not the same level as the Big 12. So Big 12, the meme absolute cinema, that is Big 12 baseball.
Yeah. And I mean, it's fun. Like we mentioned, it's a fun conference to watch games in. I've watched a ton of Big 12 baseball this year just because I'm out west. It's a lot easier for me to get these games. But ESPN Plus has almost all the Big 12 games, so you can check out almost all of them at the same time. I throw them on the 4-speed up on my big TV at home. I love it. But man, it's interesting when you look at these games and they matter. TCU had to go out there and win this game because they think that they're a host team. Maybe they are. If they go win the Big 12 tournament, maybe they get that 15 seed. They're a good baseball team. I've had questions on their pitching, but the offense has come to play for them lately, and I think TCU fans really show up, and it's a cool atmosphere. But you see that a lot across the Big 12, where they may not get all this like fanciness and people are putting them up on this pedestal. The fans show up, and they're fun games to be at.
Yeah, I want them to host so bad because if they do, I mean, minus an ACC team not getting sent there and getting sent somewhere like to Austin or Baton Rouge, like I probably will find myself to Lupton like that. I mean, one of the, again, I don't know if you saw my post about the Big 12 hats, Mark, but the Big 12 also has the best hate in college baseball. I mean, the BYU hat's making the appearance right now in the backdrop, but the TCU one, the Cincinnati one, the Kansas one, they don't miss. But the cream and purple uniforms that they'll wear every once in a while, they're throwbacks. I don't know if it gets much better in baseball.
They're pretty dope. Yeah.
And those whatever those alternates they did, I'm not going to try to pronounce the Spanish terms for like the Horned Frogs, but like that alternate uniform that they released, fire. I mean, so cool. TCU really doesn't miss.
No, they've been on fire lately. They've with their marketing, with everything that they've done, the ballpark's a blast. Yeah. And you don't want to go play them at home. You really don't want to go play them. You don't want to be a team that gets sent down there. You don't want to be a 2 seed that finds their way down there to go play TCU. It's not going to be a fun one for you. Oklahoma and Kentucky. We're thinking, okay, Kyson Witherspoon's been so good against everybody. He's been dominant. He's going to go out there. Kentucky's a team that hasn't been able to hit lately as much. Cats score 4 in the third off of Kyson. Hold the lead. I mean, tremendous bullpen effort there from Jackson Nova and Simon Gregerson. They go out there and shut this Oklahoma team down for the last 4 1/3 innings, just really doing nothing, allowing just 2 hits, Micah, and stopping the Oklahoma from coming back in this one. Huge win for Kentucky. I mean, they have to win this series at home, But this starting off that first one, winning 4-3 and beating Kyson, I don't think many people in the country thought that they would go out there and beat Kyson Witters.
No, I mean, it changes my whole stance. I thought Oklahoma was going to win this series 2-3. Now, if you asked me to switch it, I'd switch it to Kentucky 2-3 because again, I had Friday going to Kyson and this Oklahoma team. I mean, I'm not even I don't even have anything negative to say about Oklahoma. I think Kentucky just went out there and they know what they're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
They kind of fell. I had them missing the tournament in my bracketology because I was like, I'm fighting very hard to not let the SEC get 14 teams. I think that's really bad for the health of the sport. But on the flip side, right, they made every argument that again they're just right there. I mean, that was an incredible job. I wasn't there, but I know I don't know if he's a friend of the CBC, but a friend of mine, Mitch Davis, was there. He was talking about the atmosphere. I mean, it's again Kentucky Proud Park. I saw it on an Easter Sunday when it was 34 degrees, so I only saw the beauty of the actual park, not what it's like when it's full. But it's a really underrated place to watch a game and a really tough place to play when it is rocking. I mean, Kentucky, that's a good fan base, and they do like baseball. I mean, we saw them in Omaha last year. Like that was a very
the super regional against Oregon State there last year was insane. They filled that park up. People care about it, and it's a big win for Kentucky. They need.
I think Oklahoma may have just signed their death note on hosting, though. I think that's the one thing I took away from that is they would. I mean, again, they could still win the series, and maybe they still have a hope. But I think at this point, they're kind of they're probably going to be that really dangerous 2 seed that they don't want to be sent to Dallas Baptist. Well, you might be getting sent to Dallas Baptist, Sooners fans, or getting sent to Lupton, which you also don't want to see.
There's a lot of places I don't want to play this time of year, and those are 2 of them. Oregon State playing Iowa in Des Moines, so it's technically a neutral site game, even though it's like 40 miles for Iowa fans and halfway across the country for Oregon State fans. I know there's a lot of conjecture about that one. Folks are not happy about it being a neutral site game. 3 throwing errors from Iowa pitching is really the difference in this one. Obermueller also gets knocked out in the 4th, and he's been so good in Big Ten play. He's been really good on Fridays in general for this Iowa club. But he gets beat up there a little bit early in this one. He gets pulled. He had 80-something pitches through only 10 outs, so the Beavers took good at-bats. The 3-run blast from Weber there made it 6-0. Iowa crawled all the way back to make this 6-6. Bases loaded there, 2 outs. Another throwing error by a pitcher scores all 3 runs that were on base there as Oregon State wins this one 9-6. But it was an ugly win, but in the box score, it's still a win for Beavers, and they're sitting at number 6 in the RPI, Micah.
Yeah, I mean, for Oregon State, I mean, you take this series, you're probably locking yourself as a host at this point. I mean, I think they should be a host regardless, but this would be the nice, I think, final blow. Because I think it counts as neutral, but I mean, the committee's going to kind of rule it as like a road game to a point. I mean, again, I'm assuming there were more Iowa fans. I didn't watch a single. Is this game even being streamed? Like, are they streaming this at least? Okay, so at least they got that part right. Sometimes when they do these minor league park games, they don't stream them, and then you're just like, well, did it even happen if I didn't get to watch it? But I think for me, man, like, and I know I want to preface this. Everyone thinks I hate Iowa. I actually don't have any beef with Iowa, but I'm having a hard time making a decision on whether or not Iowa is going to even get in at this point. Like, I know they're in first place.
I said this 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know they're in they're in first place in the Big Ten right now. But Oregon's got Washington. They win those 2. They're only back, I think, 2 games at that point. If UCLA wins, sweeps their series with Illinois, UCLA is 1 game back. And again, Iowa is going out to Oregon, right? Am I correct on that, Mark?
No, Oregon's traveling.
Oregon's traveling to Iowa. Okay. Even if so, I think Oregon wins that series. And then if you basically saying this, if Iowa does not win the Big Ten regular season, they have to win the Big Ten tournament to get in. I think. The RPI is awful. It's like they're in front of Virginia right now, who again I'm making a case to get in. But Virginia's got games in front of them that are going to continue to stack on top of them. Plus, they're going to get. I think they're going to get the benefit of the doubt of being preseason number 2, and also too because of what happened, the tragedy of Florida State, I don't think the committee is going to punish Virginia if they win their last 2 weekends and are 15-12 in ACC play by saying, yeah, well, sorry, because if you played Florida State, you're going to be 10 spots up higher in the RPI, even if you just win 1 game. Iowa is flirting with this. And that was what was, nice to see from them was when Oregon State jumped out on them, I'm like, oh, like Iowa's going to get run ruled here, and this is going to be really, really bad. At least they showed fight to get back into it, but unfortunately, the wins are what's going to matter at this point, and they desperately need to at least get one here, if not win this series. Because if they win this series, they're probably RPI wise going to be okay, and they're going to have the argument because at this point, I don't think Iowa's going to not maybe share the Big Ten title, but if they're not the outright Big Ten regular season champion, especially if they lose that weekend, Oregon, who they might be sharing that with, that's going to be a big deal. So
UCLA has 2 more against Illinois.
Yeah.
And then they go to Northwestern, or they get Northwestern at home.
Yeah. So if they
could sweep the next 5 games and find themselves 1 game behind Iowa. Iowa loses 2 games to Oregon. UCLA is the Big Ten champs. And Oregon could jump Iowa also. And then Iowa's sitting at number 3 in the regular season. And you're talking about they're going to need to do something in the Big Ten tournament to even get in the tournament, maybe, because their RPI is at 68 and it's going to drop with losses against all these teams. I don't know, man. I have had Iowa on the bubble out. I've had them in the last 4 out. But it's hard to say that when they're, they were 21-6 right now in Big Ten play. They've done well, but last night was tough to, when you lose with your ace Obermueller against a team like Oregon State, where you need to win those games, and it's not a home game, but it felt like a home atmosphere for them. It's going to be a little bit crazy.
And the Saturday setup that Oregon State has from a pitching standpoint is one of the better ones in the country. So now you got to go try to beat that. So
get Dax Whitney, and then who was the Friday night starter, Nelson Keljo.
Yeah,
a big league
that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and Dax Whitney is going to be maybe top 5 picks in 2 years. Yeah, it's not the easiest road for them. Washington and Oregon. Oregon wins this one 5-0. Just a complete. Grayson Grinsell has been so good on Friday nights. Even in the loss last week against Zerwa, he's an ace for a reason for Michigan State, right? And it wasn't Grayson's fault. He goes last night, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 runs, shuts down this Washington team. This Washington team, I don't know if you know this, they had won 8 of the last 10 Friday nights. They'd been on fire on Fridays. They'd been really winning baseball games, taking care of business. Oregon at home just looked different. This Oregon team, to me, looks like a host team. They've been playing really good lately. They're what you want to see late in the season is, that trend up. They're winning games in different ways. Usually it's the offense, but the pitching has been really good the last few weekends as well.
Yeah, great job on Oregon's standpoint. For Washington, I think I can scratch them off my bubble now. I had them kind of on it, but you got shut out in the last game against Iowa on that Sunday. You magically, I am first off not accusing. I think there was actually a power outage, but again, it's more fun to play the narrative, right? Like the power goes out against an AIA team in the midweek when you were losing. And then you get shut out again on Friday night. Again, team that you've been really good on Friday nights.
Yeah.
I think you're 26-22 in the Big Ten, like over your overall record, but then you're obviously in the Big Ten. Like, I think that's honestly all she wrote for Washington. I think what A. Smith and them are doing, they're going to be okay in a couple of years. But I think this year, I don't think it's going to be a year 1 NCAA tournament berth, unfortunately, for the Huskies. But
he lost a lot. To be this competitive this year speaks volumes about it.
Right. It's, up there. Like, that's the thing. Is like I think they're, and again, they can. That's the thing, man. The Big Ten tournament is
they can still do a run.
I'm not ruling them out of winning that thing, but I think from like the bubble, like at large getting in standpoint, I think that's all she wrote. But I will be tuning in at some point today for that game. I think it's at 4:00 my time, if I remember correctly. I think it's
2 p.m. here.
So I'll be checking in on that one.
And it's the Oregon Ducks' birthday. They're having Kids Fest down there. So
are you going to be there?
I am not going down there.
Wow, you didn't want to celebrate the Ducks' birthday, Mark.
I know, and they've been
Are you tired from this Hawaii vacation you went on or something?
I was like, oh man, I really want to go down there. I am sending my nephews down there though, and I already told the Ducks that they're coming down there. Twin 7-year-old boys are going to go down there and enjoy the game, so they're super pumped to go down there and watch some baseball. But yeah, it's a big weekend here for Oregon. They got to win. If they want to continue to be in there, they have to sweep the next 5 games, honestly. And then if they do that, they're probably hosting. Just going to throw out some scores really fast because I know that we're already over our hour. Pitt 3, Wake Forest 12. Big win for Wake Forest at home. Michigan State beats USC at home 5-0, shutting out USC. Really bad timing for a loss there. And then we're going to go to the Fun Belt where Troy wins 9-8 against Arkansas State. Coastal has taken the first 2 games in that series. They beat UL Monroe 6-8 in the first one, and then they won 10-0 last night. Southern Miss won 11-3. They continue dominance on Friday nights. Coastal leads that division, but we'll talk about this. I think all three teams are in. But a lot of fun there. Utah goes on the road and beats Arizona. I think that kicks Arizona out of any chance of hosting. I think that any talks of them hosting are dead now. That's a bad loss at home for them. And then Arizona State loses at home to Houston. Arizona State was right on that bubble, too, of being one of those teams that maybe host if they win the Big 12. Now they're 2 games back again from West Virginia, and it's just not a good time for them to lose at home. But, great stuff going around the country. Something cool, Micah. What do you got for me? Something cool this weekend.
I'm gonna call it home picking, but this is shout out to my guy Riley Hunsaker. Lamar Friday night guy was the SLC pitcher of the week last week. 10 strikeouts. I think it was 7 innings, maybe it was 6 innings pitched against Southeastern. He shoved again for us on, I guess it would have been Thursday night against Houston Christian, and another shutout win for the Lamar Cardinals. He gives me a hard time, and I never give him his love. So you know what? That's my something cool is Riley is making his case as arguably the best Friday night guy in the Southland Conference. That obviously has been fun to watch as a college baseball fan in general. So that'll be my something cool today.
I like that. I'm going to last week, and obviously I was in Hawaii, and that was awesome, right? I got to be on a couple of radio spots. I did some fun stuff out there with those guys. I got to be on the field, meet all the players and coaches and all the fans that showed up. The biggest thing I think was Saturday, they had no TV broadcast. So I went live stream just from my phone and a headset, and I called the whole game.
And they were cool with that?
Folks. Yeah, they allowed me to do it right there because they didn't have TV rights, so that nobody was broadcasting.
That's cool.
So yeah, did the whole game, standing right there behind home plate, and called it for the folks. And I had about 3,000 live viewers, give or take at any time. So people were really excited. I mean, for Beaver fans, it was early because we're talking about that start time was 6:35, so that was 9:35 on the West Coast. But 3,000 of you guys showed up and supported, and I really appreciate that. I thought it was great to get to talk about those and get to see you guys there. Big one there. So thanks, guys, for showing up, and great to see everybody out there at the ballpark. Really had a good time there in Hawaii, and I know that I got to take my wife to the game on Monday, and we had a blast there getting to watch it, even though the rain did start falling on us. Okay. Let's talk about these at-large and these bubble teams here, okay? We got some time here. We're going to talk about this. So I count them up. There's 34 at-large bids remaining, correct? If we're just going to start them off with 34. Mm-hmm. Oregon State's in. They have one no matter what, whether they're hosting or not. They're going to take one of those bids. So you're down to 33. Southern Miss, Coastal Carolina, and Troy. Those 3 Sunbelt teams, hopefully one of them wins the actual tournament and gets that bid. Yeah. Because otherwise I think all 3 are in. So I think all 3 are in. So I'm going to take down 2 more and say one of those 3 teams wins that tournament. So we're down to 31. UC Irvine and Cal Poly, probably both in. There might be a bid stealer as the Big West only gets 5 teams into postseason play. But you're looking at UCI, where we've talked about them being a host team. They're right there on the cusp. They're 18 in the RPI. Cal Poly is 35 in the RPI. It's really hard to keep them out with that conference record that they have. Now you're down to 30, because if you say that those 2 teams are the only teams in from the Big West. Does Conference USA get 2 teams in with Western Kentucky and DBU? Like, is that one that we're looking at? I mean, I know DBU's in probably no matter what, so Western Kentucky is right there on that bubble. I have them out right now. Oh. But if they won the conference tournament,
I think that I'm looking at the little sheet. You didn't mention the Southland. I don't know if you know this, Mark. Do you know who the committee chairman is this year?
I do not.
Southeastern Louisiana athletic director. So
are they going to get 2 teams in?
I'm telling you right now, if Southeastern's on the bubble, you can put them in. Like, we've seen it before. That's the human side of the sport. I want to make this very clear. That's not me saying, oh, this is unfair and sugar. Like, at the end of the day, right, there's a human nature to this sport. Someone's going to, I will always fight for the Lamar Cardinals, regardless of whether or not it makes sense to someone that knows nothing about Lamar. Like, the Southland is sitting really good because of that. Yeah. I mean, and again, and they've earned it. There's like Lamar, we have a 55 RPI. We're in 5th place or 4th place in the conference. Like, there are 5 teams in the top 75 of the RPI. Like, it's not like the Southland's a bad conference. I'm just fighting and barking up a tree to get 2 Southland teams in. Like, there's a legitimate argument. And like, for those that don't know, the Southland tournament starts next week. We're doing regional style and super regional style play. So it's going to be really fun because you're going to see these teams go neck and neck, like in a regional style format just next week while everyone else is wrapping up regular season play. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on that tournament too. So, I mean, I think the Southland has a better chance of 2 bids than Conference USA if, again, DBU does indeed win the conference tournament.
Yeah, that's my worry, is that if DBU doesn't win it, that team's in, and DBU's in no matter what. I think that they're in no matter what. I think that it ruins their chance of the hosting if they don't win it, but I think that DBU's in no matter what. So for the sake of the argument, let's say that we get 2 or 3 of those teams in, so one bid stealer, okay? So Southland or Western Kentucky, whoever gets in there. So let's say we steal that. 10 teams in the SEC, we both agree, are already in. The top 10 teams right now, they're in, locked in, no matter what. So that's 9 more bids that are in. ACC, we both agree the top 8 teams are in already, no matter what. You're talking about FSU, NC State, UNC, Clemson. Georgia Tech might be the closest on the bubble, but Miami, Louisville, and Duke, they're all in. We're putting them in. So that's 7 more teams off there. You're now down to 13 at-large bids. If we're talking about this, you're down to 13 at-large bids. And we're going to talk about these last Power 4 teams now that have 21 teams here for 13 spots. 8 of these teams are not going to make the postseason. And I have a feeling that the Big 12 and Big 10 are going to be the biggest hits on this, and they're not going to get as many teams in. Let's talk about SEC first. So these are the bubble teams that they're sitting there. These are teams 11 through 14. We've already agreed top 10 teams are in. Florida's at 12 and 13. They have 2 more games against Texas. Then they get home against Alabama. They're 34 and 17, and they're 16th in the RPI. I have Florida in. I think that they just have to win 1 of these next 5 games. If they win 2, obviously they're way in.
Yeah. If they get 14 SEC wins, they're in. I mean, you can just write them in.
Yeah. And that win last night was massive for them. So I think that just kind of put them. We just can pencil them in. So that's 11 teams now. So that's one of the bids gone. We're down to 12. Kentucky 11 and 14 with that win last night. They have Oklahoma for 2 more. Then they're at Vandy. That schedule is not easy. They're only 26 and 20 with an RPI of 39. Where are we feeling Kentucky? How many wins do they have to get? I think they have to get to 13. I think they need to win 2 of these next 5 games still.
I still think the 14 number is going to have to be in the conversation. I mean, I know
they're going to have to cut it to 14 this year.
I don't know. I mean, I think 13 might. I think you might be right, Mark. I think 13 might actually be that number. I think because again, it's been 14 in the past. That's kind of been like that magic number SEC wise that kind of makes you feel safe. But you're right. The conference is deeper. It's bigger. Yeah, you're right. I'd say 2, especially with, again, it's Oklahoma and Vandy. If you take 1 more against Oklahoma and then you take 1 against Vandy on the road, I think that's going to be enough. Your RPI is going to be in the top 40. Yeah, I think you can put Kentucky in there.
Mississippi State. Now, this is one where I have Mississippi State out. They've split this series, so they're 11 and 15 right now. They have 1 more against Ole Miss. Now they're at Mizzou next week. They could go down and theoretically sweep that one, even if they lost today to Ole Miss. If they win today against Ole Miss, they're probably in because they're going to win 1 or 2 of those games at Mizzou most likely, and that would put them in. But they're 29 and 20 with an RPI of 32. Mississippi State's just one of those teams where it's like, to me, they don't feel like a tournament team, but they've played well enough on paper to get there.
I think they're the one that fits the 14 rule. I think they need 14 because if they take 1 today and then 2 or 3 at Missouri, that's going to be fine. Or again, if you lose today and lose that series, you have to sweep Missouri.
Have to sweep.
I think too, and I mean, I could be completely wrong on this. I think there might be an argument to not punish, but be like, hey, Missouri doesn't even have a full-time head coach. Like maybe we put somebody else in there. I'm just playing that argument. Like sometimes, there's the storyline of, again, they don't even have, again,
Mississippi State
doing right now you feel good about, but they don't have a coach. They don't if it's neck and neck, if I'm Mississippi State, I don't want to be in that conversation of a neck and neck because that could be a point that's brought up again, comparing them to Southeastern Louisiana that, again, human nature. Hey, we are the 2nd best team in the Southland, or I think they might win the regular season at this point, regular season champion for the Southland. Our RPI is, 49, where Mississippi State is 38, 39, but we did this, and again, look at the amazing season we're having. Where Mississippi State is having such a down season, they fired their coach. Let that conversation play. I don't think you win at Mississippi State. I'm sorry.
No,
I love the dude. I love that fan base. I don't think you win that argument. So no. I think 14 SEC wins will be that safe number to get them in.
Yeah, I think that anybody gets to 14, they're in. So I think that's the same thing with Kentucky. If they get 3 wins out of the next 5, they're in. 2 puts them right squarely on the bubble. 2 puts Mississippi State right squarely on the bubble. So A&M This is the 14th team right now in SEC. They're 10-15. They have 2 more against Mizzou at home. Then they're at Georgia, who sits number 1 in the RPI right now. A&M's RPI dropped 10 spots last night down to 46 with that loss. A home loss against Mizzou was a bad one there. I think that they got to win 4 of the next 5. I know we already talked about it. I think it's got to be 4 of the next 5. They have to figure out how to win the rest of this weekend, and then they have to take the series at Georgia.
It makes my stomach sick, Mark, because literally entering this week, and I thought that A&M was safe. Like I literally wasn't really sweating them. I was like, because again, I think they're capable.
Mississippi State was my sweat team. I honestly was like, okay, there's.
I had Kentucky out. That was my team. So like, we're looking at this now, and it's like, oh my goodness, like here's Texas A&M, and like again, like. I'll be the first to say it. I mean, I don't really appreciate the mean comments everyone said to me, but like I've been sleeping on Georgia. Like I will admit, again, I had them in my preseason Omaha 8, and then since then I've kind of just forgot that I thought they were going to be good. But you're telling me that I'm expecting them to go into Athens and sweep? Heck no. Like if they take 2 or 3, that's huge for A&M. But again, that means they have to win these next 2 at home. I mean, I think A&M is getting to the point now where, I mean, especially if they only go 3-2 the rest of the way in the regular season, they're probably going to have to not just win 1 in Hoover, but probably 2.
They're going to have to get.
They're capable. I think they're capable of all of this. Yep. But it's again, I've said it. We said it previously. Like it doesn't make sense. Like
this is a team that could win the next 5 and prove us way wrong and just be like, yeah, well, we went to Georgia, we swept, and we won the rest.
And the crazy part is, Mark, if they sweep Georgia and they finish out here and then they win 1 or 2 in Hoover, they're not going to probably host, but they could be screaming for it.
On the bubble to talk about it. I know.
That's just the reality of the SEC this year. Is like you finish your last 2 weekends hot and you do well in Hoover, you could be like, hey, what about us as a host?
ACC bubble teams now. I know this is the wheelhouse here. This is where we get to rubber meeting road. You mostly in the ACC. You've had to be a 500 team in conference to get in. That has been just a rule for a long time. I don't necessarily know if it's a rule this year, but that's had felt it. Virginia is now 12-10 because of the series they missed. They get 2 more at home against Miami, then they're at Virginia Tech. I'm with you. I think if they get to 15, I think that they might even get in at 14, but the problem is their RPI is 70. Yeah. So that's the hard part for me is that their RPI is 70. But I think if they get 3 wins out of the next 5 games, they're in.
Yeah, looking at the needs report, if they get to 14, their RPI should still have them in the top 60 because Virginia Tech still has a high RPI. That's obviously going to be on the road in Blacksburg. Miami's got a top 30 RPI. I know it's at home, but it's still fringe quad 1, quad 2 wins. Like they have the argument to get in with that top 60. And again, like they're going to get the benefit of the doubt that A&M we didn't just talk about. But again, they were preseason number 1 A&M, obviously Virginia preseason number 2. There's going to be that argument of like, hey, they started to figure things out. Virginia had a lot of injuries at the beginning of the year. I don't like making excuses for these teams, but the committee likes to look at potential too. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, hey, if Virginia just took 4 of their last 5 weekends or whatever it would be, you know, if you don't count the weird like 2 games they played last week because of the exam stuff, like, you know, you're starting to feel pretty good. So if Virginia does win this series against Miami and then obviously goes to Blacksburg and kind of sends the death blow to the Hokies, like I think, again, and that's the other thing too, is that probably takes Virginia Tech out, who would have been an ACC spot that I think the ACC is kind of thinking they're going to get. So I think you almost just swap what 3 weeks ago was a Virginia Tech spot for Virginia.
Yeah, and we'll get to them too here in a minute because we're going to talk about that. They only have Virginia left, and they're sitting at 11-16. I have them out. I don't think that they would have to sweep Virginia to get in, which would knock Virginia out.
Yeah.
Wake Forest 13-12. They won last night against Pitt. They have 2 more against Pitt. Then they're at Louisville. This feels like a team that needs 2 more wins. So either get 1 here against Pitt and get 1 against Louisville, or sweep the rest of the Pitt series. They're at 25 in the RPI though, and they're 33-16 overall. I like their overall record. I like what they've done sometimes in this season. They've been really good in non-conference games. Do you think 15 is the number for them? I think 15 is the number for them.
I think they just need 2 the rest of the year, whether it's 1 in the regular season and then 1 in Durham. I think they just need 2. Like I don't think they necessarily have to have 15 going into Durham, but then you have to obviously win 1 game in Durham to get to that comfortable spot. But again, the RPI is so high. Again, no matter what,
10th right now,
is always a team now that gets talked about as a brand that people kind of want to see. So I think there's the argument there, right? That Wake Forest, again, as long as they get two more wins, whether it's again of the 5 regular season games remaining or, throwing one in Durham there, I think you're pretty good.
And the committee likes coaches that they know and that they know can perform at that level. Tom Walter's on that level, so they feel comfortable there. Notre Dame, 12-15. They're sitting here now at 11th in the ACC. They're at Miami for their last series. They're at 47 in the RPI. They're 26-19. I think that they have to win the Miami series. I think they have to take 2 of 3 to get in. I don't think one win is going to be enough for Notre Dame to get in, and they're at Miami next week.
Yeah, and I think the other problem that Notre Dame has that maybe isn't talked about enough is that their overall record is not great. They're 27-19.
Yeah,
so they really got to get to 30, and that's the thing. Is that means obviously sweeping Miami, or again, I think they kind of fall into the same category of they win. They probably have to win 3 instead of 2, like Wake. But if you win 2 against Miami in Coral Gables, and then you get 1 in Durham, I think you do sit in the spot of getting in. But they're going to need 3 wins somewhere, and I'm not going to say I don't think they're capable of it, but I still think Miami's a good baseball team. Not after just because they lost 1 game last night against Virginia. So,
and Miami at home is
a tough task, but it's definitely still right there in front of them.
Yeah, Vodtech, like we just talked about, 11-16. They have Virginia. They're 27-22 in the RPI. They've dropped a lot lately, down to 49 now. I have Virginia Tech out unless they swept Virginia. And I think they still would have to win a game in Durham. I think they'd still have to – I think they have to win 4 more games to get in at this point, how they've played lately.
Yeah, and that's what's tough is this weekend is they got Mercer today and tomorrow, so no ACC games. And Mercer's a team that's, for those that don't know, RPI-wise for the SoCon, they're probably not getting an at-large spot, but they're going to keep pushing to try to give themselves a chance and going to Blacksburg. And they were to sweep both those games, they're probably top 60 RPI, so they'll at least have an argument to fight for. So, and Mercer, again, has always been a scrappy group. As someone that used to work in the Southern Conference, I did not like seeing Mercer in the other dugout. So, they're gonna need some help. I honestly, you didn't have them on the list. I think Pitt has a more realistic chance at this point than Virginia Tech.
Their conference record for me is just
and again, their overall record too. They're 27-22. Pitt is, so theirs is a lot harder to fight for. I'm just saying, I think path wise, if Pitt wins the rest of the weekend with Wake, and I can't remember who they have next week, but I know it's another ACC series that would help them RPI wise. If they were to win that series and then maybe even get a game in Durham, they're probably in. So I like Pitt's path better than Virginia Tech at this point, even though Virginia Tech has more of an argument at this time.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. Let's go to Big Ten real fast. Iowa, we talked about, they're 21-6 right now in conference. Their RPI is 68 though, Mike, and that puts them in a really tough spot, especially when you're looking at UCLA, who's 18-7 in conference, 1 game-ish behind them. They will be by the end of the series here at Illinois. They have Northwestern. They're 35-14. They're 14 in the RPI. They've put themselves in. I think UCLA's in. As long as they win 3 games down the stretch here against these next 5 games they're in the tournament. Oregon, 17-8. They have Washington 2 more than they're at Iowa. Big series for both of those teams. 36-13 overall with a 22 RPI. I think Oregon's in the tournament no matter what. They could host if they go out there and they win for the next 5, I think. And obviously, I think any of these teams could win the Big Ten. USC, that loss last night hurts. They're 16-9. They have Michigan State here, and then they finish at Washington. 32-17 overall. They're 37th in the RPI. I think that Big Ten might see 4 teams in. Those 4 teams might be in, with Iowa maybe being the worst team of the bunch, possibly being the bubble team of those 4.
Yeah, if you're a fan of anyone outside the Big Ten and on the bubble, you better cheer hard for Oregon State and Oregon the next 2 weeks. Because if Iowa does not win the Big Ten regular season, they have to win the tournament to be in. And then that's a 3-bid Big Ten. I think USC, Oregon, and UCLA are locked. I really do. I think those 3 are in. And I don't know if there's anyone else in the Big Ten that has a legitimate bubble case at this point besides Iowa.
I have Washington and Michigan, but Michigan and Iowa or Michigan and Washington both lost last night.
Yeah, and Michigan, again, they just, unfortunately, they're just not, this is a weird word to say, but they're not sexy enough to really hear anyone fight for. And same thing with Washington. And again, Iowa's really saving grace has been I shout out to the D1 guys, on their bracketology or Nerdcast podcast. They talked about it's almost like cheating if you're saying Iowa, like you either have to say Iowa wins the Big Ten and they're in, or you have to talk about them as potentially missing. Like there's really, because the Iowa saving grace of them being in right now is because they're in first place in the Big Ten.
They're 11-9 in non-conference.
Yeah. If they don't win the regular season and then don't win the Big Ten tournament, I think Iowa's out, and that obviously opens up another spot for Texas A&M or, a Virginia or whoever, is on that bubble in the ACC Big Ten, or excuse me, ACC, SEC, or Big 12. Or even Oregon State, Southeastern Louisiana. We'll go back to them. But
if Oregon State beats Iowa the next two, that puts Iowa at 11-11 in non-conference. Mm-hmm. That's not good enough for me if you're a Big Ten team.
No, especially no disrespect to Iowa because they're getting punished by their geography, but it's not like their non-conference schedule is like world beaters. Like you're playing a lot of, Kansas catching a stray here, but like the Kansases, the South Dakota states of the world, like you're not playing world-beating teams.
No,
out of conference. Oregon State would be your best one, and at that point, you've lost your weekend. You've lost that game, those series. Yeah. So,
yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens down the stretch here. I think that's. I think I'm with you. UCLA, Oregon, USC feel like they're in. USC being a 3 seed, obviously. UCLA and Oregon still fighting for a host chance. 1 seed, 2 seeds for sure. Iowa is the biggest question mark there. Mm-hmm. Big 12. This one is just a mess, right? So West Virginia missed a couple games against Oklahoma State because of the fires, right? That was tragic. We didn't like to see that, but you have to miss those games. You got missed. They're 18-5. That loss last night at K-State was bad. They have 2 more against K-State, and then they have Kansas at home. They're 23 in the RPI now. They've dropped a ton. Arizona State and TCU are tied for second at 16-9, which technically only puts them 2 games behind West Virginia for that chance there. Oklahoma State, the Arizona State has 2 more against Houston. They need to win those games, and they're at Oklahoma State. RPI of 44, 32-17. I feel like Arizona State is a bubble team still of being even in the tournament, especially if they don't take care of business over the next 5 games. They got to win. I think they got to win 3 of those games at least. TCU has 2 more against Cincy, and then at Utah. You feel a lot better about TCU winning last night in the way that they did. I think if they win 4 of those next 5 games, they're sitting at RPI 15. They could find themselves as a host team, Micah. I do see a path. Kansas 16-10. Their overall record of 38-14, though, I think puts Kansas in, and their RPI at 38. I think that they're in. I think Arizona is also in with an RPI of 29, but they have to win some games. They have Utah and at Houston. They should win 4 of the next 5 at least. If they lose more of those, if they lose either one of those series, I think that they might be on that bubble also. Kansas State has an argument. They're 15-10. They have West Virginia here for the next 2, and then at Cincy. Cincy now is 13-12. They're playing their way out, I think, just because the number of slots are not there. I don't think Cincinnati can do it unless they win the rest of the weekend against TCU, and if they go and beat K-State at home. I don't know. I have a feeling that only 4, maybe 5 teams get in from the Big 12, but I can't put all 7 of these teams in.
I will fight to the death for my Cincinnati Bearcats. By the way, I might get canceled by Louisville fans because switching from a Louisville hat to a Cincinnati hat, I think might be a crime. So if I'm locked up next week, Mark, you know where I am. I'm probably locked up in the Louisville Slugger Museum's basement or something like that. But no, I think the Big 12 can be 7. I really do. I think it needs to be studied, Mark. There's a tweet I think I put out on the Just Means Less page, February 14th, if you want to find it while I'm in Arlington, calling it the Mid-12. And here I am fighting for the Big 12 to have 6 or 7 bids. But, again, that conference has been so competitive all year. And, again, maybe I'm just anti having all the teams come from 2 conferences. But, I would rather see 7 SEC than 7 Big 12 than 14 SEC. I think at some point, if you're the 3rd worst team in your conference, I don't care how good your conference is, you don't deserve it. You don't. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's so
just. So we're talking about bumping out Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Texas
again, if A&M doesn't win the Georgia series,
they're out.
A&M fans might come after me, but I'll fight harder for Cincinnati than I will for Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Unless Cincinnati just falls by the wayside, right, and falls under 500 in Big 12 play, then
and it could happen. They have TCU and K-State, and they're 28-21 overall.
But this is a conference that, again, I think West Virginia. Obviously, we're assuming one of them wins the conference, but the Arizona State, TCU, Kansas, Arizona, and Kansas State. Those 5, assuming West Virginia wins the conference, I think it's 6 safe. I really do. The conference records are good enough. The overall records are good enough. Every single one of those teams has an RPI in the top 45. Arizona State would be the only one kind of getting a little iffy. But the nice thing is, even though Oklahoma State's under like barely above 500 overall, their RPI is in the 50s. So when they go there next week in Arizona State, if they win that series, that's going to boost their RPI. So they're going to be able to grow. So as long as you don't drop the series to Houston, you're sitting pretty good if you're Arizona State. And again, Cincinnati, like they're going to have RPI opportunities. Like obviously they're going to grow with the TCU series. I don't think they're going to get swept. I think they're going to at least get one. And if you win that series with K-State next weekend, and again, I think Cincinnati is a very dangerous team come Arlington. I think you're sitting pretty good. So
I think it's between K-State and Cincinnati there.
And it's only if only they played each other. Oh wait, that's next weekend in Cincinnati.
Cannot wait for this. I think that the one auto bid's in, and then I think maybe we see 5 of those bubble teams get in because they've played really good baseball this year. But there's chances here, right? If K-State struggles here down the stretch against West Virginia and they lose the next 2 games and they lose at Cincy, they're out. If Cincy gets swept here by TCU, they might not even have an opportunity, even if they swept K-State at the end of the season. So it's really going to be down the stretch here for these teams. I can't wait. Final thoughts, Micah. I know we've been going really long today for these fans, but we wanted to break down all the bubble teams. And we'll do it again next week also after we get all this week's data.
Yeah, I can't wait to be 2 teams we didn't talk about that could make some people uncomfortable. Oklahoma State, Baylor tomorrow. I'll be there. I'm excited for that. I think that is a series that technically could throw some bubble wrenches. If Oklahoma State goes into Baylor and wins the weekend, like their record's getting better, their RPI is good enough to be in the conversation. Weirder things have happened at the end of the season. So, well, again, they were a preseason top 15 team, so that they're capable of potentially figuring it out. Also, I don't know who Olivia Williams is, but I just happened to look at the comments, Mark. She's my new favorite person.
Yeah, she's a big fan.
I need to be on. I won't let me add the comments to the screen, but saying that I should be on Southern Fried Baseball again. Suck it, Jake. I'm clearly better than you. But then also, too, the Miami at Lamar would be awesome. Which, by the way, Mark, remind me when we get done here. I got to tell you something that I know that I think you will find very interesting. I'm not allowed to publicly say it.
I think I know
regarding Lamar that you'd be interested in for next year.
I think I know, but we
probably do. But still, I'm excited because as long as they don't fire me, I'll be here, and that'll be awesome. So, anyways.
Love it, man.
Oh, Josh, I didn't even think about that. Kentucky has started, and Josh has informed us Oklahoma has jumped on them early. So good. That is something to obviously monitor, as we just talked about. So that's my final thoughts, because I know we've gone long.
I'm going to go throw the headset in. I'm going to go mow my yard. I'm going to get the rest of my stuff done so I can sit down and watch college baseball the rest of the day. Thanks for joining us again, folks. We'll be back again next week. I don't know if Mike is coming back on again next week, but we'll let you guys know. Great to have him on this week. Wonderful, man. Thanks for coming on. Love this show. We'll see you guys again next week. We'll talk more Bubble Talk. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, y'all.